Imagine going to a basketball game with your friends. You cheer for your team. You stop for snacks on the way home. You make plans for the next day. Everything seems completely normal. But then you never return home. After a few days later, your car is found abandoned on a remote mountain road. Months later, investigators discovered your body over 20 miles away. And the strangest part, one of your friends survived for weeks in a mountain shelter that contained enough food to keep him alive for months. And yet, he still died. This is a terrifying mystery of the Yuba County Five.
On February 24, 1978, 5 friends from Yuba County, California, attended a college basketball game at California State University in Chico. The group consisted of Jack Madruga, Bill Sterling, Theodore Wire, Ted Cruz, and Gary Mathias. They were close friends and were excited about an upcoming basketball tournament they were scheduled to play in the following day. According to family members, all 5 men were looking forward to the event. Nothing seemed unusual. After the game ended, they stopped at a convenience store and bought snacks. This would be the last confirmed sighting of them, alive.
When the men failed to return home that night, their families became worried. This wasn't normal behavior, especially because they were known to be responsible and had important plans the next day. A search began. The investigators discovered something that made no sense. Their car had been found abandoned nearly 70 miles away from where they should have been. The vehicle was located on a remote mountain road in the Plumas National Forest. And here's where the thing gets strange. The car wasn't damaged. It was stuck. It still had enough fuel. In fact, investigators believe it could have easily been driven back to the mountain. So why? Why had the 5 men abandoned it? Nobody knew. The mystery was only beginning. Winter conditions made searching difficult. Snow covered much of the mountainous terrain. Weeks passed with no answers. Then months. As the snow began to melt, search team finally started finding evidence. And what they discovered raised even more questions. The first body found was Jack Madruga, not far away from the remains of Bill Sterling. Both appeared to have died from exposure to the freezing conditions. Nearby searchers also discovered Ted Cruz. His shoes were missing. Instead, he appeared to be wearing someone else's footwear. The findings were bizarre, but the strangest discovery was still waiting to be found. Nearly 4 months after the disappearance, investigators discovered a Forest Service trailer deep in the wilderness. Instead, they found Theodore. His body was lying in a bed, but the evidence suggested he hadn't died immediately. In fact, investigators estimated he had survived for several weeks after getting there. And this is where the mystery becomes almost impossible to understand. Inside the trailer were large amounts of food, enough to keep someone alive for months. There was also a propane heating system, yet it had never been used. Blankets were available, supplies were available, food was available, but most of it remained untouched. Why? Nobody could explain it. Why would a man slowly starve to death while surrounded by resources that could have saved his life? The answer remains unknown. The 5th member of the group, Gary Mathias, was never found, and many investigators believed he may hold the key to the entire mystery. Unlike the others, Gary had military experience and was considered the most capable of surviving in difficult conditions. Some investigators believed Gary may have led the group into the mountains. Others think he may have survived longer than anyone else. A pair of shoes believed to belong to Gary was found inside the trailer. This suggested that he had reached the shelter at some point, but after that, his trail disappeared completely. Even till this date, no one confirmed trace of Gary Mathias, and he has never been found. So, what happened to the Yuba County Five? One theory suggests men simply became lost, but the explanation leaves many unanswered questions. Why were they so far from their route home? Why abandon a working car? And why travel deeper into the dangerous terrain? Another theory is that they were following someone. A witness later claimed to have seen people near the area that night. Could the group have encountered someone who led them into the mountains? Others believe Gary Mathias may have experienced some kind of mental health crisis and convinced the others to follow him. But again, there is no evidence proving this happened. More than 4 decades later, investigators still don't have a definitive answer. The Yuba County Five set out for what should have been an ordinary night, a basketball game, a few snacks, and then home. Instead, they disappeared into the mountains and became part of one of the America's most baffling mysteries. A working car was abandoned. A shelter full of supplies went largely unused. 4 men were eventually found, and 1 man vanished forever. To this day, nobody knows exactly what happened on that cold Friday night in 1978. And perhaps the most unsettling part of all is that the truth may have disappeared completely with them.